Hear that? That's the sound of a patient whose health data is protected from a cyber attack. And that's the sound of a financial system that's digitally secured from bad actors. Right now, there's an invisible war being fought on a digital battlefield that impacts what we do every day. That's why at Peraton, we do the can't be done to help protect the vital systems we rely on. Because if we don't, the alternative is unimaginable. Peraton.
Hey, it's Matt from the Direct-to-Video Connoisseur here. Thanks again for listening to the DTVC podcast. Before we jump in, I wanted to quickly let you know that my new novel, A Girl and a Gun, is available on Amazon now, both on Kindle and paperback. It follows Justin, a successful writer whose past as a scriptwriter for a fetish porn site comes back to haunt him and threatens to derail his career. As he's picking up the pieces, he gets an opportunity to make a movie called A Girl and a Gun with a rom-com star. Justin may have bitten off more than he can chew, though, because she's notoriously difficult to work with. If you're interested, you can find the link on our webpage, along with the link to my first novel, Chad in Accounting. If you have any questions, please reach out, and I thank you for the support. Now, on to the podcast. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Direct-to-Video Connoisseur. As always, this is Matt here. And actually, after, I guess it's a brief hiatus in this case, we've got Ty and Brett from Comeuppance Reviews podcast and site. Welcome back, guys.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Yes, thanks again. We're back once again. This is I think we are 20 appearances. I know you might have said.
Wow, I just stopped counting.
Oh, yeah, I lost count, really.
So, interesting thing. I went back and looked because this is the first time, I think, since October of 2020 that it's been more than one episode between appearances for you guys. So in this case, we've got, I did No Retreat, No Surrender with Will from Exploding Helicopter, and then Action USA with John Cross of After Movie Diner, and then you guys. So this, and then the last time you guys were on, what did we do the last time? It was it Piper? It was the Piper.
It was Roddy Piper. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so
right. Yeah, Pay the Piper, right.
No, I thought of it. I remember the name after I had already put it up. I was like, oh, Pay the Piper. That was it. That was the name.
I know that seems so long ago for some reason, but yeah. I know what you're saying. It's been an interesting gap by our standards.
Yes,
usually we're on here every week, so it's just like
right, exactly right. We're gonna do it at least once a month, and so I think the way it's going to work out with the podcast, so we're recording this one in January, but it's going to air in February. So in a way, we've been doing calls once a month, but for everybody listening, they're going to see it as like, wow, it's been over a month since you guys came in.
Yeah. Well, I know we've been keeping people in a lot of suspense, and we're sorry about that. We don't mean to put you in any sort of emotional distress or pain, but we are all back together now. So I think we can just kick back and relax and talk about a very important subject that's coming up.
Yes, for sure.
Which you're the host, so I'll let you deliver what that is if people don't know. But this is, it's kind of a corollary to an episode we've done together before on our show. I'll just say it. Meatheads.
Yeah.
Right. It's a correlation to the one you guys did on Meatheads, and then the one that we did on this show called The Other Guys.
It's a combo in a way.
Yeah,
it's a continuum, you might say.
A continuum, yeah.
Yes. And one thing that's interesting is,
you think a meathead would know that word?
Well, that's a philosophical question, but it's a continuum of meat. It's like a river of meat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing that's interesting, I don't like to think that like downloads are like the sole like rubric upon which you judge the success or failure of a podcast episode. But I will say, like, from the ones that you guys, when you guys have been on, that other guy's podcast was actually like the 5th, most downloads.
Wow.
Great.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks. Wow.
Surprisingly, the number 1 was Ginty. That one
Oh,
was
that's
quite a
great.
bit. Yes, he outdid Dolph, which it's hard for any episode to outdo a Dolph episode. But Ginty, there's a market for Ginty out there.
Well, I was just going to say that. I think I might have an explanation for that because I think people are hungry to hear something about Ginty.
Ginty
they're
Force
talking about
too.
Yeah, yes, of course. I think people want to hear that. So that makes sense to me that people downloaded that one a lot. It's like, oh, they're talking about Ginty? Like, no one talks about Ginty. I want to hear this. I think that makes sense.
And we did Unsung Dolph. We did that on your show, right?
Yeah.
I wish I remember. Maybe I'll have to re-listen to it to see what the list was. Maybe we could do that again. Maybe in the future.
Ooh, Unsung Dolph Part 2?
Yeah, Part 2. Yeah, because that was a big hit. Because we all were doing the Dolph impressions, and
Right.
Yeah.
And there's so much Dolph out there. That's the thing. Is it's like,
welcome to Dolph Cast.
Well, there already is a very,
Oh yeah, I must break you. That is a
Travis
Dolph
Breaks
Cast.
his podcast. Yes.
Yeah, it was Breaks podcast. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Well, we don't want to ride their coattails, but however, we have plenty to say about Dolph, and I do think a Part 2 might make sense because Matt, you're right. He's continually working and always making new stuff, and his catalog is pretty deep. How could we really do just one podcast about the Unsung Dolph? We might have to do another one.
Yeah.
Happy to do it.
Yeah.
Very happy to do it.
He's the only one who is in the 60 club on the site. So he's the only one who has 60 films tagged up. Gary Daniels has 50, but Dolph is going to be the only one, I think, that unless I would say he's probably the only person, unless we do like a kid and just do a bunch of the kids posts, who has as many tags as his age on the site. So
well, this is your chance to watch Pups Alone before we do it again.
Exactly. I know. He's had 2 come out. He had Pups Alone and Castle Falls. So
I hear Castle Falls is good, or that's what I hear.
Yeah,
him
I've
and
heard good
Scott
things too.
Atkins.
Mhm.
To Scott.
I think on this podcast, if we say Scott, I think people know we're talking about Scott Atkins, but who knows?
Right.
Oh,
Like
that's
Gary.
right.
Like we just say Gary.
Yeah.
Don't people
Yeah.
know we're talking about Gary Daniels?
Yeah, and Dolph is just Dolph, but it's like it's an original.
And Richard
name,
is clearly Richard Norton.
Richard Norton, yeah, and Cynthia is Robert.
Well, Cynthia, of course.
Cynthia,
yeah.
you
So
have
Don.
definitely know. Yeah.
The Don, yeah.
Yeah, or the dragon. Yeah. Yeah, and I was, it's funny because we were talking about like what we would do for more like top 5s because we're starting to run low, and I think we talked about Scott, and the problem is I think is that we would do the podcast, and by the time we do the podcast and then we release it, he put out like 5 more movies, and it's like, oh, is our list? We'd have to like really make it a point of being like, this is from this date that we're doing this podcast. So any other movies that Adkins releases between now and then, will not have been included.
Well, it's true. I mean, he's a working actor, and you know how it is in the DTV world. People like Bruce Willis and Nicolas Cage come out with like 5-6 movies a year now. So I think podcasts like ours should be like Nicolas Cage update for this couple months. Like do like update podcasts. Something like that.
Right.
Well, we really shemped it up in the last one.
We shemped it up, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe, I'm happy to make fun of that forever, but it's just it's a small shemp break, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to run that shemp into the ground. However, if you look up Bruce Willis, there's always a new movie coming out, just like Nicolas Cage.
Mm-hmm.
It never ends. You go to Best Buy, it might be in a Steelbook, Steelbook, Best Buy exclusive, Out of Death in the Steelbook.
Yeah.
Well, because that's the thing is that like, I think we have this mindset of like, okay, we're done with these Willis like sleepwalk fests, shemp fests. It's like they're crass. They're like this kind of assembly line like cynical approach to movie making. But there are a lot of people I think in like kind of the review world that like the idea of those because you can sort of post a picture on Twitter with Willis's face and it's going to get traction. It's like his name still has that kind of value to it, and I don't know when the tipping point is.
Well, I was saying, for how long? Because I was talking about this with Ty off air. It's like, are we going to reach Bruce Willis fatigue? Like, is there going to be like a Bruce Willis saturation point where if you keep hammering Bruce Willis over and over, could that have an end point where people just really that name doesn't mean as much as it used to?
Because I think it does. It's lost its cachet a little bit because he's making all these garbages. So it's like, oh right, Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis, another Bruce Willis.
Another one.
I mean, yeah, for the review community, it might be good, but for the general public, I don't know. I think it might be losing its luster just a tad, just simply due to oversaturation. If he didn't do so many, then, he's flooding the market with his own stuff.
See, that's the thing. If you go to Redbox right now, it's all Bruce Willis movies.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Those are all the choices you have. That's it.
Well, it's good to see Grindstone Entertainment is doing so well.
Yeah.
Yes.
You put him on set for a day, maybe even half a day now.
Right.
Well, that's how he's able to do so many
hour.
movies a year. No, he's there for like a day or two. And then, of course, he's doing 6 movies a year and he probably works 6 days a year.
Yeah.
Well, Sean Malloy from I Must Break This podcast, because we did this episode on Precious Cargo, and we were talking about this whole like Willis thing, and he was watching a trailer for one of the other ones. He's like, he seems like he's barely opening his eyes. Like he was actually like thinking we need to do a wellness check on Willis. He was likening it to like Bela Lugosi with Ed Wood, where it's like just prop him up and get the scenes done. And I mean, would you put it past like the Grindstone Entertainment guys to like just sort of like get enough whatever in his system to do the couple scenes he needs and call it good?
Bruce Wellness, I think.
Bruce Wellness. Yeah, I like this. I like Bruce Wellness. Yeah, that's his name now, Bruce Wellness.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's true. I mean, I think he started off like acting, then less acting, then less acting, then not opening his mouth. Now he's gone to not opening his eyes.
That's what he's saying. In the trailer, if you watch the trailer, he was right. Like if you watch it, there are scenes where it's like he's barely, it's like and I guess it's like one of those things where it's like, like you were saying, it's like, what is the tipping point? And I mean, I think like that podcast that when I reviewed Precious Cargo, that podcast episode got a big bump. And I think it's possible because we kind of dealt with it from that fatigue standpoint of like, this whole thing is just so cynical compared to, like we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about movies today, especially like some PM entertainment movies where they were made with maybe there is a cynicism to the way those movies were made, but they were made in a way that it was like, let's give the audience the most bang for their buck.
If you think they're made cynically, you're going to have to make your case, because I don't think they were, just because it seems like they were made with so much heart and soul and danger, like people at actual personal risk.
Right, exactly.
I don't think you can do that cynically. I think you have to do that for the love. I mean, of course, these companies want to make money, of course, but so does every company. So,
Yeah, there's not really the assembly line approach that these Willis movies have, right?
No, I don't think so.
Like,
No, because Bruce Willis is actually sleepwalking now. People say, yeah, he's sleepwalking. No, he really is now. He's just sleepwalking. They just film him sleepwalking. It's just like he's just getting a sandwich from the refrigerator on set. It's like, oh, what's a sandwich? Still sleeping though, and that's his line too. Like,
I'm getting my sandwich.
Yeah. And just getting my sandwich, and he leaves. And Shemp did it too. Like Shemp did the faraway shot as usual.
And then whatever movie that is will be heavily touted as having a Bruce Willis appearance, like in huge letters with a huge Bruce Willis face.
Because every new one is like he's like a cop, and he has like a badge on his like lapel or whatever. He's like he's a cop in this one. Yeah.
Well, it's like Midnight in the Switchgrass, the one I watched recently.
He has the cop badge, on the picture. So it's like he has some other one. It's like Gasoline Alley. It's coming out soon.
Which I really hope is the long-awaited film adaptation of the longest-running not funny comic strip in newspaper history.
No, but that's the one I think. If I'm remembering right, that he doesn't open his eyes as much.
That's Gasoline Alley.
I think that's like the trailer at least.
Okay, I'll look up the Gasoline Alley trailer. Like another one, but all right, I'll watch it. And if you can some other like it's like American Siege or something.
No, but this is a serious question. Is Gasoline Alley based on the comic strip?
I don't think it is. I don't think
so.
Oh, okay.
I mean, one of the movies is called Out of Kill. So I mean,
Out of Death, right?
Oh,
Out of Death, right? Not Out of Kill, Out of Death.
Well,
that'll be a Seagal movie. It'll be called Out of Kill.
Right.
Well, don't forget that Bruce made Hard Kill. So it's like,
right, Hard Kill, Out of Death. It's like so the
word hard has to be in there somewhere.
Yeah,
right.
It's not a reference to anything else.
Die of Night.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be the next one.
Yeah, I'm at least Gasoline Alley. I don't
think. Go ahead.
Because while you look that up, talking about Midnight and Switchgrass, maybe they wanted to find a co-star that didn't upstage him. Mm-hmm. So they got Megan Fox.
Yeah.
And it is kind of a flat line in that department. But that's why they got that other guy who was really good in the movie.
Emil
I can't think of his name. Yes, Emile Hirsch, who was genuinely good in the movie. But the two leads, which were Megan Fox and Bruce Willis, I don't know.
It's very flat,
Well, there's always that younger guy who does the
with the heavy lifting.
The heavy lifting, right? Like that Precious Cargo one. It was Mark Paul Gosselaar, which
well, Zach Morris can do anything,
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm not seeing anything about this being based off the so it's
okay. I just making sure. I mean, I'm just asking questions here.
Yeah. It's like
Go
that
ahead.
same like bluish, like grayish suit with no tie.
Yes, he
just,
does that. Yeah.
Right. I'm just like seeing like that refrigerator scene you talk about. I just see like him, like the chef walking up in that suit to open the refrigerator, and then you cut to the refrigerator opening with the light going on Willis's face, and then another shot of the chef looking for something in the refrigerator.
Yeah, exactly. The far back shot.
Right. Exactly.
The back of his bald head.
Right, exactly.
Which could be Michael Chiklis. Who we don't know.
10 minutes gone, they looked exactly the same. On the cover, like, I can't tell who's who there.
It's like, do you have to have two bald, like middle-aged men that look almost exactly the same? Like, could you have not cast someone else?
And they don't even play brothers or anything.
I know. They're just two different characters. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's genius, right? Because you can do anything you want with those scenes, and you don't, continuity.
I thought it was okay because Chiklis carried it.
Yeah, but Chiklis, he does, that what I call Chiklis face, where he acts like really surprised and he kind of bugs out his eyes. Like he widens his eyes. So you see a lot of the white around his eyes, and he opens his mouth. And,
like, oh, the 10 minutes gone now.
Like, and when he's angry, when he's scared, when he's apprehensive, he does that Chiklis face, which we all love and enjoy. I'm not making fun. I love Chiklis, but it's something I've noticed that he does.
Yeah, he made quite a turn, right? Because Commish was almost like a Jim Belushi-esque, like, kind of almost comedic, like offbeat cop thing.
Yes, exactly. It was like the cop version of like a Northern Exposure. It was like a dramedy kind of thing. Right?
It was okay. And then he made that show Daddy-O. And then
which everyone remembers. Then he went right to The Shield, where I think he wanted to shed his Commish image, where the Commish was kind of hapless and somewhat bumbling. And then obviously Vic Mackey was not that at all. So he switched over.
Yeah.
See, what if for Precious Cargo 2, if they make that, they can maybe get Zach Morris, he'll be back, and they could finally get Patrick Muldoon. And then finally be Zach Morris versus Jeff from Saved by the Bell. And it's like
the showdown we've always wanted.
So I've been waiting for this. And Muldoon's doing these things with Bruce Willis, I think.
Yeah.
Well, so it is a little surprising that because Goslar and Muldoon haven't crossed paths and post again. I'm saying post Saved by the Bell.
I mean, it's perfect. Right. That would be so great.
They're both in that same world. They're doing DTV.
They're doing Willis movies. This is perfect.
Yeah, Muldoon. The thing about Muldoon for me is that I would love to see him have the showdown with Mark Paul Gosselaar, but my all-time favorite was it Raging Honor 2, where Richard Norton just beats the crap out of him?
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah,
we just talked about that. Yeah, in our last episode.
And Black Cat Run, wasn't that Muldoon?
Black Cat Run was good.
Yes.
There's been some other ones.
But see, here could be the plot. It could be, the two guys have a long-standing rivalry, so they have like a much hyped punch fighting match, and Bruce Willis could be like the coach, or not the coach, like the ref, or the guy, he's in the ring, I guess. He's the ref.
Would Bruce wear like this, the white and black striped shirt?
Yeah, I guess he would, and that way he could not be in it that much. And then
you can get Mills Lane to do the faraway shots.
Is Judge Mills Lane still alive?
To me, he is.
Okay. So then,
we're supposed to talk about
that's enough to be cast in a movie, as if in your heart that he's still alive. But so then you could have Muldoon and Goslar like punching each other and kicking.
Yeah. I think
actually plausible.
I feel like this these are things that like that Roland I think the guy's name is Roland Emmett, who creates these movies, the producer.
Emmett Furla Productions.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think he's the Emmett in Emmett. Yeah.
I've seen that credit many times of late.
Randall Emmett. Right?
I almost feel like what we're coming up with is even like kind of like too off the assembly line approach that he wants, where it's like you guys are giving me too much. Maybe it's like
our ideas are too good for Randall Emmett.
He would want Muldoon and Goslar as competing thieves who have to team up to get a big score against Willis. That's
that I can see that actually. Yeah, Precious Cargo too. So it's like
that is like the type of movie they do. I can totally see that. Yeah.
it just can't be heisty enough. It has to be heisty. It has to be like DEA-ish. It's got to be
Well, like Marauders. They're kind of talking
Yeah.
about Marauders.
Yeah, exactly.
This is becoming the Bruce Willis podcast.
Yeah, they were talking a lot about Bruce Willis.
I know,
we got to talk about Evan Lurie and Malibu.
Yeah.
That's our thing.
Well, before we get into that, Ty, I don't know if you wanted to do a quick callback
well,
to.
I mean, was that on your show or our show? You talk about Adam Derwitz and Counting Crows. It's the quickest story ever. You know, I heard on the radio. I was like, oh no, I just turned it off. It's just like the song you mentioned.
You wanted to break into this scintillating discussion about Bruce Willis to talk about how you heard a Counting Crows song on the radio and you turned it off. That's it?
Well, I told you it was a quick story. I mean,
okay, so that's your follow-up. Okay.
Yeah, that was the follow-up. I mean, like I heard Mr. Jones, like, okay, that's it, I'm done. It's like boop. Like that was the Counting Crows update. It really wasn't much. I laughed.
Okay, moving on.
So yeah,
it wasn't much, man.
This is perfect.
Well, you were right.
It's definitely good for us. We could definitely jump right into this because I think one of the things was again I was saying how like above among the episodes when you guys were on that how was I going to say that the other guy's podcast did really well. I think it was I think it was one of those things, and I think maybe kind of going back to the Willis thing just ever so slightly, I do think there is a market for people who kind of want to get back. They're kind of like either they want to get back to 80s and 90s stuff and either find out where they can see it or just maybe explore ones they haven't seen before. I think that seems to be a really big one. It seems like people are like, oh, I haven't seen, it's like I posted Bad Business, aka More Mercy, yesterday.
Oh, you watched that, huh?
I did. I finally got a chance to see it. I just posted. I was like, let's get up there. And people were like, oh, that's interesting. I've never, because it's it's like a weird quirk in Albert Pyun and Jim Wynorski's filmography because Pyun started it and then Wynorski finished it. And I can't find why. Like, was Pyun fired? Did he quit? Or
there is recycled footage. Ty, what's the movie?
From the movie called Final Examination. Brent Huff.
Right. Which was a Fred Olen Ray movie, Wynorski's buddy. So it's like, again, and Pyun is listed as a producer on that. So it's like, same thing. Yeah. Was he tapped to do that movie?
We watched that last year in Master P, and he's not in it that much.
Like they just like cut occasionally to him in like a room and
Las Vegas.
Same with Bad Business. It's a phone-in sit-down role.
Well, that's what I'm saying in Bad Business.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's not in Final Examination, Master P.
Oh, okay. He's not. Oh, okay.
But they put his face kind of like front and center on the box art. It's like, is Master P that much of a draw that they had to like almost shoehorn in these like scenes where he's just in like one office building, like on the phone, like occasionally we'll cut back to him. It's more about like Brent Huff and Tracy Bingham on the case.
Yeah. And he's wearing his classic Hawaiian shirt, Brent Huff.
And so is Tracy Bingham.
Yeah, they're both wearing these Hawaiian shirt outfits. And it's like, it's a very ridiculous movie, as you know, because you watched it. So.
Right. Well, because I do think there's a thing where people are like, man, these like Bruce Willis modern DTV flicks that are just made with this like complete, assembly line cynicism. Like it's almost like, man, I'll take a Bad Business and just like,
and that's saying something. Like,
wow,
that's a rough.
That's a new low. I mean, it doesn't go any lower.
Like we thought that Bad Business was sort of like the end of the line, but no, it is not. Now people are actually nostalgic for Bad Business.
I think there is.
This is crazy.
That's not good. I mean, or maybe that is good.
I think we have reached Willis fatigue, if that's the case.
Yeah, we're going back to Bad Business now.
Well, because I was feeling that. I'm watching the movie and I'm like, like the movie starts. Bad Business starts with like it's supposed to be a strip club, but really it's a theater, like an auditorium where you watch a play. And like the strippers are on the stage, which again technically they're on a stage in a strip club as well. But like the guys are sitting in those like those chairs that like that you fold the seat, you push the seat down to sit in. It's like and then like their dressing room is just a restaurant bathroom. And it's like in one of the stalls is where the killer comes with the plastic bag to kill the woman in the first scene or the opening, sequences.
It's like, oh, the killer's after me.
Right. Right. It's like, what is going on? It's like, oh yeah, this theater auditorium seat is empty, so that means the killer is on the loose. It's like, you're and I'm like, what is happening here? And of course, like the guy we think is the killer he's like this blonde guy with a ponytail and a soul patch,
like a himbo guy.
He's a himbo.
Exactly. I mean, which to be honest, if I ever saw a man with a ponytail and a soul patch, I'd move in the other direction. He'd be my first suspect in a murder too. So it worked in like the Murder She Wrote kind of sense of like getting you off track and thinking somebody else is the killer, which in itself is kind of funny, right? That you're thinking back to the late 90s, early 2000s. And you're like, yeah, what would a killer look like? He'd be a sleazy guy with a ponytail and a soul patch.
I wish Master P was. Okay, spoiler alert for the movie. He's not the killer, Master P, right?
Well,
So
but he can't be the killer because he's on the phone in a different state.
I know, but I wish he was.
The audience knows he's not the killer. I feel like that's safe and not a spoiler.
Okay, because it's just if he was the killer, that'd be a little bit more fun, and I think it would be like cool to see that. But he always says, "Well, don't tell people are dying for God's sakes."
Yeah, I think that's his line, for God's sakes.
For God's sakes.
And then Tracy Bingham's like, I'm gonna try to solve this case, and he's like, all right, man, we'll let her do it. And it's like, okay. And then because then she was like questioning the ponytail guy, because I guess he's like a high roller, like he spends a lot of money at the hotel. He's like, what's she doing, harassing the she needs to run this stuff by me. And it's like, run it by you, like you're
like Las Vegas, maybe. I think he might be in Las Vegas.
And then the investigation is in was it like Hawaii?
Like Hawaii.
It was supposed to be Bali, but it was shot in Hawaii, which made it even better.
Yeah. Right.
So Ron, my long point that I was making, I guess,
yes.
that I think this episode we're doing here on two sort of other guy kind of luminaries from that late 80s, early 90s period, Evan Lurie and Malibu, I do feel like there's an appetite for this kind of thing now with the
absolutely. I think day by day the appetite's growing. I mean, I really think you're right about that.
So, I mean, I'm trying to think, I think the genesis for this episode came just in us just talking about Malibu a lot on the podcast. And for people who don't know who Malibu is, he's a bodybuilder from the early 90s. I mean, he's pretty much like when you think, if you were doing a movie in the early 90s and you took a walk on Venice Beach, there's a scene that was on Venice Beach, Malibu would be there, right? With the mullet, with the ponytail, the dangling earring, the shirts that are ripped so that, because his neck is so big he can't fit into a regular shirt. Malibu is like all of that kind of stuff. Whereas Evan Lurie's a little different, right? Evan Lurie's kind of a cross between those two, right? He's like he's almost like he could almost be an action lead, but not quite.
He's like the perfect meathead extra, like the supporting.
Well, they're sort of like darkness and light. It's like Malibu has like the blonde hair and it's sort of, I don't know where he's originally from, but he seems more like a California dude, where Evan Lurie is darker, has dark hair. And has more of that's why I think he played a lot of bad guys, because he looks kind of more menacing, almost like he could be from New York. It's almost like a New York, LA thing,
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming Malibu is from that area, if that's why. But who knows? I mean, we don't know where they got their names from on American Gladiators.
Maybe someone called him Malibu. Maybe someone said to him, "Hey, Malibu."
Malibu.
Someone else called him that. We don't know.
You're from Malibu, right? No, you're Malibu. It's like
okay. Well, his real name is Deron McBee, right? So
yeah, that's correct.
So, I mean, that's a perfectly great name for the DTV world on its own,
Yeah.
Do you want to start with top
Malibu
3 McBee, or do you want to do Evan Lurie?
We'll do McBee. And so just to give people an idea of the format, because we're doing two guys, we're doing two top threes, as opposed to a top 5 and a top 5. So it kind of comes out to roughly the same number, right? It's like 6 instead of 5, I guess.
That works.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, so do you want to do your first number 3 for Deron McBee?
Okay, I have Enter the Blood Ring.
Now, this is kind of an obscure movie. A lot of people might not have seen this.
Yeah, I haven't, so this is good.
But it's a good showcase for Malibu. So if people can see it, they should see it.
I think it's on YouTube. Last week checked. That was a couple of years ago, but it's like a punch fighting movie, underground fighting. Robert Zadar is also in it. And
yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say I think it was put up by the same people that did was it Broken Bars? Benjamin Cobby.
Yeah,
Cobby.
There's an actor named Benjamin Cobby, Matt. And he's not kind of like a meatheady type of dude.
Right.
So,
and this production company that he was kind of like their guy, but they didn't get a lot of distribution. And they're not a lot of penetration into the marketplace. There's Broken Bars and Enter the Blood Ring. I don't think a lot of video stores had those. But there were entries into that 90s canon of punching.
And Malibu does some punching. And there's like a documentary crew also hanging around in the movie too.
Right, they're like filming the underground world of punch fighting.
Yeah,
so there'll be an occasional black and white shot of a guy talking to the camera.
It's like, I'm gonna get him. I'm a good fighter, and that's Malibu does. Like I'm the best. It's like,
I'm just kind of looking it up because I'm kind of curious about it. I mean, the fact that it's Zadar and Malibu, so it's still got a good amount of Malibu, is what you're saying, even if it's
yeah, it's not bad.
It's a fair amount. I would have liked more.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he is a supporting character to be fair, but it's what Malibu you get is good Malibu.
Yeah, which is what you need. I think that's one of the things that might be a theme running through this list, the Deron McBee list or the Malibu list, is that there might not always be like a starring role for him, but it's like what you get really enhances the film.
Absolutely. And I think that's why we're talking about him today. It's like when Malibu shows up, it's like, oh, you know, your eyes and ears kind of perk up, you know, it's like, oh, you know, because that means something colorful is happening, something fun is happening. So, you know, instead of something boring. So yes, he should have gotten more starring roles or bigger roles, but what you get is always, it's spice. It's like a flavor when you're making a stew or something, you know?
Right, exactly. He's quite the flavor enhancer for sure.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yes. What's your number 3, Matt?
So my number 3 is Resort to Kill, aka Immortal Combat.
Oh yes,
I think it's
weird.
Great cummerbund.
I was about to say that. I think that's what gets him into number 3 on that. It is possible though, if I had seen Enter the Blood Ring, that might have been my number 3. So that probably is a good caveat for people.
Your choice is good because I don't have a Mortal Kombat.
That is a perfectly good number. No, it is a perfectly good number 3, and maybe like as an update, you could watch Enter the Blood Ring and sometime in the next like couple weeks or months, and then you could report back.
Yeah, I kind of do like an addendum the next time we do a podcast episode together.
Now, correct me. Is he wearing a cummerbund with no shirt? Is that
no? If it's a shirtless shirt, or the sleeves are cut off, right?
I believe so. You know, I didn't get a screenshot of it, which is not.
It's very unusual because I know then that would be a good illustration. Because I'm trying to remember myself. Was it like a Chippendales kind of thing where it's like a bow tie and cuffs?
But it's too big for him as usual.
Or too small for him.
I described it in the app.
Too small. Yeah.
As part of why you love this movie, you know, it's like, you know, it's one of those things where you're just like, man, this is just, you know. Oh, I've got Malibu from the old hit. He's sweet because for whatever reason he's dubbed. That was the other thing too. The person he was dubbed, you know, had no, you know. So yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on there with him. It was just, you know. Yeah, it's one of those ones where I think this movie. I mean, and the thing with the Mortal Kombat or Resort to Kill is it has a bunch of names in it. It's got Tiny Zeus Lister, Sonny Chiba, of course, Piper, which I think in our last time you guys were on, we talked about. I think this was on your list. I think your top 5. Yeah. So it's a lot of guys in here. And so to have a Malibu, I think that's one of the things about these movies from this period, this like late 90s, late 80s, early 90s period. Late 80s, early 90s, is that I think nowadays when you would throw in a Malibu type, right? First off, there is no Malibu type. I think when
there's only one Malibu.
Right? These kinds
he's
of
a snowflake, you know.
Right, exactly. Yes, he's that unique. There's not like when you watch these movies, you don't have like if you watch like the Willis films we're talking about, the people that you see in all of them, because usually that Roland Emmett guy that produces them, he uses like if you like do the IMDb CV or IMDb page of one of these movies, you'll see like 5 people that you've never heard of before, but if you click, they've done like 5 other Willis Emmett, you know, DTV flicks.
Right, that's like the stable.
Right, exactly. But they
I know one of the stables, which is La La Kent.
Right, exactly.
La La Kent.
Yeah. You got to watch the trailer for The Row, Matt. Has La La Kent and what's his name from the UFC fighter. Can't remember his name right now.
Is it the big one? Well, they're all big. Rampage? Was it Rampage?
No, it was I can't think of it. Oh, Couture. Thank you guys. Randy Couture, and then you got to watch it because the trailer guy it's so funny. It's like Randy Couture, La La Kent.
Like he says it with a lot of gravitas.
Yeah, it does. It's like.
But I think it's Ty pointed. Just to correct the record here, it's Randall.
Randall.
Randall Emmett. What do I keep calling him?
I think you're thinking of Roland Emmerich.
Yes, it's Randall Emmett, not Roland. Yeah, I think I've done that multiple times. It's like it's easier when I'm typing to somebody because I'll double check and be like, oh, let me make sure it's not. Yeah, but when I'm speaking, Roland and Randall, I'm gonna get those
they should team up. To be fair, they should team up on a production. But...
Yeah,
Independence Day 3 or something like that.
Starring La La Kent and Randy Couture.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Bruce Willis as the alien.
For sure.
As the president who's in like 2 scenes.
2 scenes, yeah. He's the president finally. I don't know if he's ever been the president. All right, we got to get off the Willis train here.
Yeah, he's the president who never wears a tie, right?
Yeah. He wears a badge actually.
The president wears a badge.
Yeah, it's gonna be on the cover. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that could be a movie, like Officer President, where it's like he's a cop, but he's also the president.
Okay, we got something there. Maybe we can. It's like a no subject bit.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hold that off for no subject.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And I think we know the perfect person for this.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So
That's such a good idea. How come no one's ever
Officer
thought of that
President.
before?
That's great. Yeah.
But the thing is, like, if it's Willis, right? I guess we should be hashing it out too much, right? All
right, but let's keep this under our hat until we do another no subject. I feel like this is a good grist for that.
Yeah. We have some good stuff Matt and I thought of the other day. So
well, let's make sure we write that down.
Yeah, it'll be written down.
Okay, so moving on. So where are we with Malibu? Or
well, I did Enter the Blood Ring, and then Matt did Immortal Kombat, right?
Okay. So Matt, was there more you wanted to say about Immortal Kombat? Or
No. I think we're ready. Yeah, I think we're.
Well, my second one is The Killing Zone.
Yeah.
That's a good choice because it's probably his biggest role of all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's basically the star of the movie, and that's it's a rare chance. He didn't get too many of those. If this might be the only one.
Yeah. Now this is my number 2 as well, so we can probably do an extended chat about it because we're kind of on
the same page. Hey, we got an overlap.
Yeah.
Now this is a PM, right?
Yeah, it's early PM. It might be a City Lights, right? Or is it a PM?
Yeah. It is because it's like I think it's City Lights and then it lists PM as the distributor. So you don't get like the classic logo. I don't think. At least I didn't when I watched it on Tubi.
You get the old logo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
there's
orange.
the old logo. Then there's like the updated one, the one people kind of know and love, which is like a chrome look to
like
it.
a sky background. Yeah.
No, that's the old logo. Right? Oh, the sky. Oh yeah, no, you're talking about when the movie first comes up. I was thinking like on the side of the box.
Oh, that. Oh, okay. Yes, I know you're talking about the chrome logo.
Yeah. So I don't know. Do you want to talk about the
Killing Zone?
Killing Zone.
I'm trying to remember much of it. I mean, I know, doesn't he he's like a construction worker and he's like using his sledgehammer?
He's not a construction worker, right? What happens is he goes to jail under like some kind of dubious.
Right. Yes, that's how it starts.
Gives him the excuse to be shirtless, banging a sledgehammer in Arizona.
Yes, of course it is.
And there's some drug lord that they have to catch, and it's like Deron McBee is the only one who can catch him, is the idea, and so they. This DEA guy comes up. You know how they come up with these weird like scenarios where like the DEA agent I guess has like carte blanche to just pull people out of jail if he wants to, and so he just does that. And then the thing is, of course, they're going to be supposed to be going after this guy, but I watched it recently. There's some interesting stuff that happens in the movie. Like for example, Deron McBee's uncle owns this bar, and the baddies are after them. Right, yeah. The drug lords and everybody are after them. For whatever reason, they keep going back to the bar and just keep getting shot, and people get shot. And killed
that's right.
Like that. It's like that they're going to come for you there, but yet you just keep going back there. Like that didn't make any sense. I mean, from the Malibu standpoint, it's fantastic because it is everything late 80s, early 90s Venice Beach that you would want in a Malibu. I mean, there's a scene where he's actually working out, and there's the women working out around him, and he's got like the ponytail with the hair, like with the mullet just like perfectly coiffed on the top with the long dangly earring, and he's just like pumping out reps, and the DEA guys there trying to talk to him. He's like, trying to finish my workout, man, and it's like it's a thing of beauty. The problem is, I think one of the other problems is at the very end, he doesn't really have a standout. He doesn't get to fight the baddie. The baddie actually has him at gunpoint, and then his friends come and kill the baddie. So it's kind of a bad ending there, because I think you would have liked to have seen Malibu just beat the crap out of this guy.
Addison Randall is he involved in this in some way?
He's the director and writer. Yeah. This was his vision.
Yes, it sure was, and what a vision. And isn't there like a classic scene where like he lowers his sunglasses sort of like halfway down the bridge of his nose and smirks?
That sounds familiar.
It's almost like something Michael J. Fox was famous for doing, kind of like just lowering his sunglasses and going like, "Whoa!"
You're like, "Whoa, cool, man."
Yeah. And he's riding a motorcycle, and of course, like, because he's so big and the motorcycle he has isn't as big, it looks like a kid like riding a moped or something.
Yeah.
And of course he's doing it with like no helmet, but also these T-shirts where he's cut the necks off like down to like kind of midway point, because I guess his chest and neck is so big that a regular shirt with a regular neck, the one that comes standard, just
your standard neck.
And well, but also it's like a half shirt as well. So
yes. Right, that's right.
So the lower half of the shirt is gone also.
Right. It feels like a lot of work that it's like, you get T-shirts and you got to get to work with the scissors on them, but maybe he's developed a process with it, who knows? Maybe there were shops on, in Venice Beach that sold shirts pre-made.
Or maybe he was just very crafty.
Yes, he could have been. I mean, with the hands, like I feel like, using scissors and doing that kind of stuff might be difficult, but maybe he was more delicate than we think.
Probably. He's a gentle giant.
Yes.
They should have made more movies like that with Malibu. Like he could have been like the PM star.
Yeah, that should have happened.
Yeah.
I wonder if they looked at this movie. I mean, I personally was wondering myself when I watched it, like, am I going to be in a situation where I think there's too much? I've hit a Malibu saturation point.
That's possible.
I didn't. That's possible. I didn't think that was possible.
Yeah, I realized that I didn't think it was. I don't think this movie showed, at least for me, that you could do a film where Malibu was the star. And I guess maybe, excuse me, I'm losing my voice here.
You're so excited about Malibu.
Yeah, exactly. I'm getting choked up talking about how great Malibu is.
Getting emotional here.
Exactly. but I wonder if PM saw what we were talking about, where he adds a flavor to a movie that, like, again, like, maybe I won't talk about the other movies because we might be bringing them up as ones on the list, but some of the ones like even like we just talked about a couple, like a Mortal Kombat, where you get a whole bunch of names in the film, and then you just stick Malibu in there with, either no shirt and a cummerbund, or like a tank top that has a zipper on it that you zip down so much so he can show his man cleavage, and you just have him there with his big long hair, just kind of making faces and looking angry and getting killed eventually. It just adds something to the movie that maybe that's what
helps
they thought.
It along. It's like, oh, hey, look, it's Malibu.
Well, it's a flavor. It's something we talked about.
Well, the thing, you're calling him crafty. Maybe he has an Etsy store. Malibu.
Malibu's Etsy store.
Malibu's Etsy store. Yeah.
Well, if there was like a Malibu T-shirt, like I don't know, maybe like with his face on it, I would buy it. Maybe.
Yeah. I would. I mean, I wouldn't know if I'd be able to wear it. I'd probably be swimming in it, but I guess like it could be something like good, like if you're like kind of doing work around the house or something. But I guess
right. So he only sells it in his size.
His size, yeah, which is extra meathead. Just like,
it's XXM.
It's XXM, yeah.
with the middle cutout, with the neck cut out. So it's like, so you go to put it on, like for the normal person size, it just starts to like go over the shoulders. And being like ends up playing like a Jennifer Beal kind of.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like it's a T-shirt, but the neck is gone, the sleeves are gone, the bottom half is gone, and it's basically just like a strip of cloth across like your torso, and that's it.
So that was Flashdance, right? So he's a Malibu on the dance floor.
Well, he should have done one of those dance movies, like A Dance or Die. Speaking of PM, what if he was like an angry dance instructor or something?
Right. Yeah. I think it's one of those ones. If you're doing a Malibu list, I don't think you could not have this movie on.
No, definitely not, because it's his only starring role. It must include.
Yeah,
I wonder if you go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say this is on Tubi, so for people that are interested.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, good. So people can actually watch it. That's a good thing.
Maybe I should be watching. I'm trying to get a copy, but it's really expensive. So males can't watch it on TV.
And it did get a DVD release, unlike a lot of PM movies. So there is a DVD floating around out there, but I don't know if people can get it.
I'm not paying $50. I'll pay $15.
But that is interesting, though, that people are charging those high prices, which must mean there's demand. So there's demand, as we were talking about before. There's a demand for Malibu. So that if there's no demand, you could get it for like $2. So there must be a demand.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, there has to be. And I gotta say, I wonder if we can guess the number one Malibu movie.
I don't know. Well, you want to go first, and we'll see. We'll see if I.
Okay, I picked Skyscraper.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Yep,
okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
well, I just have one thing to say. Don't ask why. Try Bud Dry.
Yeah. I can stop there. I just love a rocket.
Yeah,
a rocket shoots at a Bud Dry truck and blows up. That's all you need.
which is the only Bud Dry. That's probably like the world supply of Bud Dry.
Yeah.
Like they blew up that truck. There's no more Bud Dry. Like it went off the market after that.
Yeah. Malibu blew it up.
The fact that it's Malibu coming out of the Bud Dry truck, or no, the Bud Dry truck's on the other side. He comes out of a different truck. He comes out of he just comes out of another truck that's like blocking the alley. And our introduction to him in this film is the vest and pants of a suit without the shirt or coat, and he's just got the Uzi, and of course, like, you know, classic 90s style. He's got the Uzi and he's just like waving it around, just like firing. And it's such a thing of beauty. I mean, that whole scene, of course, is a thing of beauty. Like you're talking about.
It really is. Yeah. That's like a top moment for PM just in general.
Yeah.
There's so much chaos. You got Malibu and you got Carrie Wing or Anna Nicole Smith. It's
yeah, but that's true. That you know, the very 90s style of the vest and no shirt. You know, like
well,
his
I
shirt.
Think he said it's very Lamas.
Yes, Lamas did the same thing. Lamas, you could maybe argue, popularized the vest and no shirt look, but other people were doing it, and you know, mere shirts cannot contain these men. You know, they're not to be constrained by the normal T-shirts the rest of us wear.
Well, and then there's this scene later in the film where Malibu is wearing this tank top that has a zipper along the front. Which, I see women wearing similar shirts nowadays, but I had never seen a guy with one. But he has it zipped down so that it's showing off at the maximum man cleavage. And like the baddie is talking, and he's next to the baddie. He doesn't know what he's waiting for his line, I think, or he's trying to figure out something. He's just kind of staring off into space. And whoever shot the film, I guess it was one of those things where, like, we got to get this thing done and in the can as quick as possible. So Malibu's just sitting there, just like, you know, just kind of like, I don't know if he's even thinking about like what his next reps were going to be that night when he was done shooting. He's just kind of off in space and with this shirt on. It's just so fantastic.
It is. It really is.
I had to be the number one boo. You know, just like
boo. That's what the real fans call him. Like apostrophe boo.
Apostrophe boo. We're just talking boo. Talking boo.
But it also gets back to that point we were talking about, how he is one of those ones that can really enhance a film just by having a small, because this is a very supporting role that he has in here. He's kind of one of the main hatchet men for the baddie, but it is very much a supporting role. But it enhances this film in such a way. I mean, the Skyscraper and stuff. I mean, we did an entire episode on this one, Into the Limit, and also it made both of our top 5 PM lists, I think. And there's something about this movie that, you know, again, Malibu is just another piece of it that without Malibu, this doesn't quite make any kind of top PM list. But with him,
no, I agree. Right. I agree with that. He adds a lot to what he's given.
It makes it to a top 10 list because of Malibu.
Yes.
You know, you got Anna Nicole Smith, you got some cool stunts, but then you got Malibu.
So, right. So it's really an impressive cocktail.
Yeah.
Right. Well, because I think it would have been just like the novelty of Anna. The way To the Limit is kind of just the novelty of Anna Nicole Smith. Skyscraper would have just been the novelty. And I'm not saying it's just Malibu that makes it over the top, but he is just one of those many pieces that they put in this film that just, you know, all of it just seems to work. And Malibu in particular, just, as the main hatchet man for the baddie. Because even the baddie himself is kind of annoying, right? He's just like supposed to be this, like, you know,
but like a Shakespeare.
Shakespeare quoting guy. For some reason I'm drawing a blank on the actor.
I hate that guy so much.
He was very annoying. So I guess maybe they knew that, and they thought we have to.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying maybe they knew that Baddie was like too annoying and almost wimpy on his own, so they had to beef him up.
Right.
So, I mean, people who usually just quote Shakespeare anyway are annoying. Just because you can have like one quote a year. Because if you do any more than that, you're annoying. I'm sorry. So it's like, and this guy did it the whole time in Skyscraper. So,
well, you're supposed to hate him, I guess. So, you know, the audience is not supposed to like him.
Yeah. Right. So that's not good though for like people. You're supposed to like Shakespeare, but you make.
Oh, you're saying this is bad for Shakespeare?
It's bad for Shakespeare, and it's just bad because it makes you hate Shakespeare, and then now people who quote are annoying. That's what I mean. So it's
so you're saying, you know,
like,
don't
Malibu come hither, you know.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Which is an exact quote from Shakespeare.
Yeah. Yes, doth Malibu come hither. It's like. Malibu Capulet, or
yes, exactly.
I feel like if Shakespeare had a Malibu in, you know, the 16th century in England, I think he would have made Malibu his muse. We would have gotten a whole different, the plays that we got, especially maybe in the later period of Shakespeare's play. He would have centered plays around Malibu. We would have gotten a very different kind of thing. Well, no, granted, I'm happy we get Malibu when we have him, because I think I'm happy to enjoy him here in the 90s and or now into the the 2020s. I'm happy we got him at the time we did, but I feel like if Shakespeare had Malibu, we would have gotten a different set of plays for sure.
Oh, it would. The whole course of history would be altered.
Perfect. Well,
that makes sense. That actually tracks really well.
Well, maybe this is a good place to leave. But any further thoughts, maybe on Malibu before we move on to Mr. Lurie?
Just a gem. Exemplifies the '90s DTV action world, and adds something to every single role.
Can't agree more with that. You nailed it.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, and I think again, if you've got Willis fatigue, looking up some Deron McBee or Malibu films, I think it's not going to hurt you for sure.
Yeah, that would be the antidote.
Yeah, for sure. All right, perfect. Well, let's get into Lurie here. So Evan Lurie is a little bit different, right, than Malibu. Like you said, he's big, but he's not like the kind of bodybuilder Venice Beach big that Malibu is. But he has the meathead quality. Like when he delivers his lines, they're kind of slow, almost soft. Every once in a while he'll yell like, "Don't call me Norman," but for the most part, he's just kind of like, "Oh man, what am I doing here?" Kind of thing, or I'm going to kill you or whatever. But it works. Again, it has a way of enhancing the movies.
Oh, definitely. And PM gave him that big shot by having him be the main bad guy in.
Well, that might be one of the movies we're talking about.
Okay, all right. So so they saw his potential, and you're right. He didn't yell. He was very soft spoken. Also another kind of gentle giant type guy. And but it's true. There was a certain dumbness that kind of came across like, duh. but. It's all part of a sort of a quiet resolve that I think he had. And I think we should just get into the list.
Yeah. All right.
Sure.
Well, Ty, what do you have for number 3 for Mr. Lurie?
T-Force.
No way, that's my 3. So we're already overlapping.
Overlapping, yeah.
Yes.
Because he was if I'm not mistaken, he was the villain in that, right? So
so him and actually Malibu. Okay. Yeah.
And Malibu's in it. Yeah, that's why I picked it. They're both in it.
And T-Force is an interesting movie because it has a lot of blow-ups and shooting and all the stuff we like, but there's some philosophy in it too. About the nature of humanity. I'm not kidding.
Well, you want to go into a little bit more? Or
I mean, from what I remember, they're like robots, but they start to question that, right? And so, isn't that what happens in T-Force?
Basically, yeah.
So if Ridley Scott directed it, then there would be like
Blade Runner, but but this movie's better than Blade Runner. So it's like
so yeah, it delivers the action, of course, but I think this one might be slightly more intelligent in its scripting than some of its competitors. So, and plus it has the two guys that we're talking about today. So that alone, I think, would make it a recommendation.
Yeah, it's almost like this would be an honorable mention for Malibu because he's in it, right? He's in it quite a bit. But Lurie is like kind of like, so like just to give people an idea of what the film's about, it's these cyborg police officers are created with the idea that Erin Gray as the mayor, she forms this task force to sort of wipe out crime in LA in the future, and these cyborgs are created, and Evan Lurie is kind of like the leader of them when they sort of like break away from being police officers and start on their own crime spree. And so Malibu is in the group there, but yeah, it's kind of more big Evan Lurie. And I mean, the film starts off like kind of the way we were talking about Skyscraper starting off big with the Bud Dry truck and, Malibu with the vest and pants and no shirt. This one starts off big too, where you've got Vernon Wells of all people just like shows up at this big skyscraper. I don't think he used a silencer when he killed the guard at the front gate. Yeah, right. It wasn't like a pew pew kind. It was more like a. It was more like a loud
the guard,
bang.
of course.
Like those guards. I mean, that is. I don't know. I think they have lists of like the most dangerous professions, and I feel like front desk guard in a big building in the 90s was probably up there as like most dangerous.
Yeah, that's not great. Usually the first one to pass away, and it's just like, We were talking about that before. I mean, yeah, T-Force is good because it delivers the goods basically right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I think it's very underrated PM movie. We don't want to talk about that one. I think.
Yeah. Did this one? I don't know if this one made either of our top 5s, but I think it was probably like more like a top 10 for both of us.
Yeah,
maybe.
absolutely. I would count this one. You know, Jack Scalia, Malibu, Evan Lurie. You really can't go wrong. It's amazing explosions. So.
Yeah, I think this is one. I don't know that this one's available on. It might. I don't think it's available on Tubi. I think I had to track it down on YouTube, unfortunately.
I think I bought a tape because it was like the most affordable at the time. I think it's on DVD. I think.
Yeah.
It is. Actually, I rented it on an old Netflix disc. Brett, something to say about T-Force? Or...
Oh, well, I nothing that would be different from what you guys are saying. And so I'll just
didn't want
concur.
to okay. I didn't want
No, you're not cutting me out. I'm just listening.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
One last note I want to make on T-Force, just because I'm paging the IMDb page for it. You know how they have the tags? One of the tags is security guard killed. So
so that is something people are paying attention to. That's funny. Because we've talked about that quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's like, and I think it was here we go again. Oh no.
Right, exactly.
That man.
And it was Vernon Wells too. It's like the last thing you want to see if you're a security guard in the 90s is Vernon Wells showing up at your building.
Like, uh-oh.
No.
Yeah. I would just run. I'd be like,
this job.
I'd like throw him the keys and just go and just like, but of course they'd probably shoot me in the back, right? I did like one of the, those things when the security guard's running and they shoot him in the back and it's like you slide and fall forward. But that's how I would go, so, even running wouldn't help.
And they probably would say, should have opened the door.
Exactly.
Well, sometimes they try to be a hero and they try to fight him off.
They have a gun. They have like a gun in their holster. Like, oh, nope, dead.
Yeah. What are you getting paid as a security guard that it's worth it to battle Vernon Wells to get into the building? It's like, like that's
There's not enough.
They have a lot of job pride, It's
right, exactly.
That's on their CV if they're alive. Get shot by Vernon Wells.
In the discharging of my duties as a front desk guard, risk my life for
Vernon Wells. So
right, exactly.
Or someone like him.
Right.
So
not number 2, maybe we have another overlap.
Yeah.
Which is Operation Cobra.
Okay, so this one was an honorable mention for me. So this is not my number 2, so we don't have an overlap here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's a great villain role for Evan.
Yes.
Evan, Scott, Cynthia, Richard.
All our people we're on a first name basis with.
Dolphy. It's like do people call him Dolphy? Oh, never mind. So
let's not
fall into that trap. So I was gonna say, Operation Cobra, good villain role. Is fighting Don the Dragon twice. You get 2 fights.
Yeah,
that's like,
and it's funny because their body types seem very different.
Yeah, one's kind of runty, which is Don the Dragon Wilson, and then Evan Lurie's meatheady. So it's a good difference.
Yeah, and the meatheadiness really comes through when he gets bit by the cobra at the end, because the look on his face, which I did capture for the review that I did, the look on his face when he gets bit by that cobra, I mean, it's almost like when my cat will bite me on the leg because he wants to eat. It's just like, what? Why are you biting me? It's almost like, why did you? And he's like holding this thing, like, why did you bite me? And then eventually it sinks in that you've been poisoned with this venom, and you're not long for this film. But it is one of the classic Lurie faces, I think.
Yes, Lurie has some really good dumb faces, but in a nice way.
Right.
It's just like,
so. Yeah, well, it's part of his character. It's in many senses.
He's wearing that dashiki, right? He's wearing that dashiki the whole time.
Like it's the reason why we're talking about him, because
I think that's why.
He has the look and he has the faces.
Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently, so I keep forgetting to mention. So, when I used to use this software called BS Player to get.
That's only a great name.
I know, it doesn't sound like a BS Player. Like BS Player, yeah.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, but it was this free software that you could because at that time, like, it was
a
hard
shareware. Sorry.
Yeah, it was like a share. Yeah, it was at that time. It was hard, I think, to get like I think like Winamp and those ones had trouble getting images from DVDs if you were showing, if you were playing a DVD. Whereas nowadays, I think it's just a basic screenshot will do the trick. But for whatever reason, it wouldn't do that back then. but BS Player could get screen grabs. But one of the things was that it would just randomly choose what, or it seemed random. I'm sure there's probably something in the coding that told it which audio track to pick, but a lot of times it grabbed the commentary track. And so I was listening to Fred Olin Ray's commentary as I was getting the image of Laurie getting bitten, and I guess it was actually the snake actually bit Laurie. I guess it was like a really, like, they actually were using a real snake or whatever. Maybe it wasn't poison or something, but so I guess I was kind of surprised to see that, like, he actually got bit by the snake in real life, and so that face has got a real.
Well, because I think I might have mentioned this before, but I've heard, I haven't listened to the commentary, but I've heard that's like a really, really good commentary, like as far as commentaries go. Because I think people say it's really honest and it's really funny and it's like uncensored. Because I think a lot of commentaries, like, they cut parts out, like the studio, or they censor certain parts. Apparently this like got through with like no censorship, and like Fred Olin Ray says a bunch of like really like interesting, maybe politically incorrect stuff or something.
It's like an Uwe Boll commentary.
Yeah, that's my understanding, but I haven't listened to it. But so if people can get a hold of that DVD, you can get that commentary, then I hear it's like a really, really good listen.
I would love to listen to it. I mean, the DVDs, like I said, the tape was hard enough to procure. And
I think people must know about the commentary, so it's probably hard.
I think they did another commentary. I think it was for Final Voyage. You ever seen this one, Matt? I think it's Ice-T, and he makes fun of him, Jim Wynorski. So he doesn't know his lines, and Ice-T took like a 15 takes. That's what I heard. He said, "I'm going, wow, he doesn't know anything."
Because that's the thing about when you watch these DVD and Blu-ray extras, and everyone's so complimentary and nice all the time. It's like, it can't be that way. I think people are just afraid they might not get another job in Hollywood, which is hard enough to do. So everyone, this was great, and working with this person was great, and that's why I like more honest commentaries.
That's why the Uwe Boll commentary for Alone in the Dark is so funny, which I listened to. I don't know if you listened to. Maybe it's the director's cut version.
Where he makes fun of Tara Reid.
Yeah, it's like, I don't like Tara Reid. I would cut it out the whole movie, but she has to be in the movie. I don't like Tara Reid. So it's like,
because that's what I want. I want that honesty.
And he made fun of Dorf too. Like, Dorf is very like a prima donna. Richard Slater was good though. Richard Slater was good.
That's awesome. Yeah, because one of the things I think with Fred Olin Ray and Jim Wynorski is the industry kind of needs those two, because they can pump out films really quickly on a budget, just get it done. So it's almost like, like one of the things with Fred Olin Ray is he's found a niche with like Christmas movies, because Hallmark or whatever, they pump out so many of those, and he can just bang them out in a short period of time. So it's like they need Wynorski, or they need Fred Olin Ray, so like they can get away, I think, with saying things like that, because it's like, well, okay, maybe I didn't like this guy, but this other person I'm going to do the movie with, that's fine, and and I guess probably too with those Christmas movies, they probably don't have commentary, so he can't really say how he feels about.
Well, and plus they're working in the low budget, B movie or lower realm, and they don't really have a ton of people to answer to. They can pretty much say what they want.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna look for this DVD of Operation Cobra. I'm on the case.
There might be some good dirt on it, but like I said, don't know for sure.
I own it or not. I don't think I own the DVD. I think I rented it. I got the DVD from Netflix, so I don't think I own this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the tape. I think I'm not sure how we watched it, Brett. It was DVD.
I don't remember.
I got the tape just a few years ago. It was way before. Maybe we rented it at the store, the video store.
Video 7?
Yeah, maybe Video 7. Yeah. So wait, so what is your 2?
So I'm on number 2. So my number 2 is American Kickboxer 2.
Yeah. You know what? I really should have put that.
That didn't even make the list?
No, because number 1 is Hologram Man. I was just gonna say right
yeah,
there.
that's spoiler. Yeah.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
So, but yeah, what a great movie. American, or is it American Kickboxer 1 that I'm thinking of?
No,
they're both great.
Well, 1 is okay, but 2 is the crazy one.
Oh, 2 is the crazy one? Okay, never mind.
Dale Apollo Cook. Apollo. Yeah. They spelled his name wrong in the credits.
Right. And it's like...
this was there.
Yeah, I mean, this was my introduction to...
it was? Wow.
What is my introduction to Laurie? And I was just like, this guy is amazing. Like, I could see this guy in... tons of stuff, like I just want to see more Laurie. And I mean, he steals the show from Apollo, as far as I can tell. It's almost like, I guess it's like a My Two Dads kind of thing, right? Where it's
Instead of Greg Evigan and Paul Reiser, it's Evan Lurie and Apollo Cook.
Apollo Cook, right? and they're like these two guys that are kickboxers who there's there's a girl who's been kidnapped and they have
the wife the daughter's been kidnapped and the wife says you have a daughter and they're like a bunch of meatheads. The movie is so I need to rewatch it. I mean it's such a crazy movie.
It's great. It is so great, and so Apollo and Evan Lurie have to work together to get to the bottom of all the shenanigans. And in the meantime, there's action, there's punching, and the rest.
There's a lot of stupid lines from them. It's like because I think Evan Lurie they bicker. They bicker a lot. Evan Lurie, it's like you're like a meathead, Evan Lurie. Or let me look to find the line while you're talking about it.
But there's a lot of crazy
rich,
moments.
Sophisticated guy too. He's supposed to be like this, like Dale Apollo is supposed to be like the blue collar guy who's like no nonsense, give me a jean jacket. Whereas Laurie's supposed to be like the finer things in life guy, the silk robe and the nice wine guy.
Which is amazing casting for that.
Yeah,
perfect casting. The only way.
Yes. I mean, that was the thing in the 90s is that you could be a long-haired ponytail guy and still be like the finer things in life guy. I think nowadays you'd be like, get a haircut or something like that. But back then, the finer things in life guy was a long-haired ponytail guy.
Yeah, because those things were the finer thing. Having long hair and a ponytail that wasn't contrary to loving the finer things. That was more like, you're living life and loving life, to quote Matthew McConaughey.
Live and laugh, buy a Lincoln, just so
the Lincoln Lawyer.
Is that why he makes the commercials now? Because he was in the Lincoln Lawyer?
I never made that connection before.
Actually, I thought that was a pretty good movie. Well, okay, but I looked up the line that we have on our site here. Where Dale Apollo Cook, I'll say it right now. Dale Apollo Cook calls Evan Lurie, he says, "You've been drinking too much carrot juice."
What a burn.
Yeah, because he was Mr. Finer Things.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. No hamburger and French fries guy, right?
Yeah. No.
I think Dale wears like his blue sweatpants. Like the movie is just
with a matching blue tank top.
Yeah,
because Matt, when you said he's blue collar, I was gonna say, well, he's more blue tank top. But
yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, this is an interesting one when you go to the critic reviews because one, it's like a kind of a completed triangle one where we've reviewed it, but also Mitch, the Video Vacuum, has done it.
Nice.
But also Entertainment Weekly reviewed it.
See?
Yeah,
that's great. They must have loved it, right? You gave it an A.
I've never.
Is that what Owen Gleberman did?
Yeah, it was Michael Sauter who.
Okay.
I think Michael Sauter was the one who did a lot of. He did. So he did a grouping of them. He did American Kickboxer 2, To Be the Best, Live by the Fist, and Blood Ring, all in one review.
Hey, this guy's stealing our material here. Those are the movies we talk about.
Except he did it in 1993, so he did.
Okay. He still stole it anyway. Retro stole.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care what Owen Gleberman says.
Right.
Not a Judge Souter, or what was the guy's name?
Yeah. So here are the ratings he gave. He gave American Kickboxer a C. So we're in trouble. To Be the Best,
good, actually. I thought he was giving it an F.
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, he gave Live by the Fist a C, To Be the Best a C, and then he gave Blood Ring an F. He gave Blood Ring in it. So
but that's the best one.
Yeah, to be honest, because he's talking about like these people filling Van Damme's shoes and things like that, and I think we could say maybe he doesn't get it because obviously Live by the Fist, that's not just an A, that's like an A+, I think, for me.
That's Diet Sandwich, right? Is that from Jerry Trimble? Oh,
yes.
Is Diet Sandwich? Okay,
I believe it's
Diet Sandwich.
Yeah,
it might be wrong about that. It might be the other one, right?
No, I think it might be because Live by the Fist, I think, is the George Takei one where he's in prison and it's just like
Stranglehold is Diet Sandwich.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, Live by the Fist has this like rockin' like electric guitar score that goes on.
Yes,
where he's just like beating the crap out of people.
Yeah, these squeals. It's
exactly.
awesome.
Yeah, and he's just like kickboxing people to death in like some prison. In, like,
what a way to go!
Yeah, exactly.
That's how you all want to go. You mean kickbox to death.
To the death. John Barrett.
That's the sequel to American Kickboxer 1 and 2. Really, let's not forget about that.
Yes, that's a good point.
Ted LaMatte looks like Owen Wilson, I guess. Or...
Right. Yes. Yeah. I had to look and see if it wasn't Owen Wilson because I was like completely just like, I thought for sure. Yeah, it was like Ted LaPlatte. I was like, he's so Owen Wilson-y, but no, he's not. He's Ted LaPlatte. But it's like this idea of like this guy being this like guy who digs dirt on kickboxers, like reporter who's digging the dirt on kickboxers. And like, oh, we got to get this smarmy guy out of here. Yeah.
Well, it's like the documentary they were making in Enter the Blood Ring. I think people were trying to find out about these kickboxing people.
These underground
who are these people?
Yeah.
I think there must be at least 50 of these underground fighting movies. I mean, there might be even more than 50 now. Since
and we've seen like all of them or most of them. Right?
Just about. I mean, I know you haven't seen those tap out ones.
Well, yeah, some of the tap out ones.
Yeah, Circle of Pain is the best one. Frank Mir just kicks the guy in the face as it's kickoff time. It's like that's really the best scene of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
But go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, I think the one interesting thing about like that era of like the 80s into the 90s, especially in the early 90s, those underground fighting movies, is that it's almost like the tap out ones, the ones that they made with the tap out ones, they try to like mimic those old underground fighting ones, but it doesn't work because you're just like, well, like the UFC was trying to be like this more, it's like this more legitimate, like understood like fight, like this sort of like mainstream fighting thing, and so the idea of like all the fighters being pulled into these like underground fighting rings, which is weird. But also there was something about those 90s ones that was kind of silly but worked. The one I think of always is Kickboxer 5, where it's like this guy is like creating his own kickboxing organization.
And the guy looks
like kills you.
He looks like Ben Franklin, right?
No, that's Bloodsport 4.
Okay.
Ben Franklin is the underground, the dark kumite in the prison, right, which is like one of the greatest things ever.
Because as we said before, I think Ben Franklin did invent punch fighting. He invented enough stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like,
bifocals, punch fighting,
electricity.
But yeah, all the stuff we need in today's society.
We need our punch fighting. So thanks, Frank.
Like at that time, it would have been completely legal for him to like bring indentured servants over from England and made them fight. It would have been like, hey, that's what you're doing. This guy's taking loads of sugar off the boat. This guy's fighting. And it's like like that's it. You're into him for 7 years. You got to do what he tells you. And yeah, you could see like Ben Franklin creating an underground fighting ring that
Oh, we gotta love the realm of absurdity because we always cross it. So it's like,
yeah, no line of absurdity will be uncrossed by us. If we see it, we're just gonna walk right over.
Cross it. We'll walk across it right off the cliff.
That's what people tune in for. They want to hear how crazy, how absurd can we get in talking about movie.
It's fun to just imagine.
I think that explains the popularity, if you want to use that term, of our no subject episodes, because those can get pretty absurd.
And I think Officer President, we got something there, so we'll do more.
We definitely have something. I think that's really
I can't wait to talk about that. We'll definitely. That's gonna be really funny. Maybe it'll be like the number one thing we talk about in the episode.
Yeah, but I think one thing for people, just before we move on to our number ones, if people read our reviews of some of these movies that came out in the 80s and 90s, some of these ideas that we're coming up with are not so absurd in comparison to things that actually are made in some of these
that's
movies.
True. That's a good point.
Yeah, so I think that's something we also should keep in mind. Like some of the things that we're talking about, so it's almost like kind of based in like kind of building off of ideas that we've seen in some of these. So
that's an excellent point.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, pretty much any discussion based around cheaters is kind of falls into that realm. Whoever would have thought there'd be a show like that in the first place.
Yeah, and then you get Joey Greco as the host. It's like you can't write some of these things. Like they kind of write themselves.
Absolutely.
You got Gomez, it's like.
We're not going to go down the whole cheaters.
Right, let's not go down the cheaters hole again. Well, we just say Gomez, Greco, love it.
Yeah.
Number one movie,
Hologram Man. Would you
Hologram Man?
You totally gave away like before, but the Hologram Man is our number one.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. I mean, it's probably one of the top 3 PM movies ever.
Yeah, I think we had it. Did we both have it for number 3? So I think we swapped the order that we had Recoil and The Sweeper. I think.
It's such a tough decision, but it has to be number 3 because Recoil and The Sweeper is my number 1 favorite. Or Last Man Standing. But
Last Man Standing was up. Yeah, that's right. That one was up there on yours as well. I think that one maybe didn't crack my top 5. I can't remember, but it was there. It was close. I mean, I think it's like the best WinCOT. I guess if we're going to do a WinCOT episode, that might be the best PM WinCOT.
Yeah. I think it's definitely fair to say
The
that.
hologram man. I mean, you pop in your DVD or tape, and you just like this is great. I mean, you got
Well, it's very entertaining. It's like the PM answer.
Gallagher.
Yeah, well, first off, let's get the basics out of the way. He's the main bad guy, and his name is / Gallagher. So what's not to love?
I wish I can call my. I would change my name now, but to / Gallagher, but it's too much work. You know, I have to go to the office. You got to change your birth certificate. It's just like,
and then they have to accuse you of not being / Gallagher, and that's really annoying.
Yeah, go to the post office. I don't have that kind of, but / Gallagher.
But then again, if you did change your name to / Gallagher, then wouldn't you have to become like a bad guy? Because
no, it could be that. You could be the gentle giant / Gallagher.
well, he already is. So, but this could be arguable, but this has to be one of his best villain roles.
Oh
right?
yeah.
So yeah, he definitely shines as / Gallagher. I mean, this is like his spotlight.
Great. And then I have the DVD signed by the special effects artist.
Right. I think you mentioned that before, Cecilia Doran.
Yeah. Thank you for remembering the name.
So that's cool.
She was making fun of it. It's like, it's so Joe Lara is kind of like kind of a goof, Like, I had to ask her. It's like she did not expect it was all about spookies.
Yeah.
Which is a movie I've never seen.
And I've seen it, and I was not really a fan of it. But
Matt, you seen Spookies?
No, I've heard of it, but I've never seen it either.
It's not. I don't think it's any great shakes personally, but
it's not. I'm not just in Spookies.
So it's like, because it's not really what you might think it is. It's not like a Gremlins or a Ghoulies or a Critters. It's just like this special effects kind of. Yeah, I don't know.
It's a movie. Well, yeah. So she said that Joe Lara was kind of silly. And Well, unfortunately, Joe Lara is not around anymore, right?
Right. He passed away, I think, in 2020. I think it was in.
Oh, it was only last year. 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So.
Or maybe it was last year. Maybe it was last year because it would have been when I did the review of. I could check my archive and see when I checked the list of posts to see when. Here we go. When did we review? It would have been when we reviewed Cyborg Steel Warrior. That would have been.
Oh, okay.
Because any discussion of meatheads probably should include Lara at least to some degree. So.
No, it was June. It was June, or I guess it must have been May. I did the review on June 5th, 2021. Okay. So it was May of last year that he passed away. So it wasn't that long ago.
But Hologram Man, you really just can't. People haven't seen that. Maybe it's on Tubi. I don't know.
This one isn't. It's not. Unfortunately, it's not. So American Kickboxer 2 is on Tubi, but Hologram Man isn't. So, but I believe it is on YouTube, and it
okay,
is.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, this movie starts the way this, and actually one of the other things too, I should mention, it has a running time of about 100 minutes. Usually for me, 100 minutes is bad. This one actually, it works. I mean, it could have been shorter. I think it could have been 10 minutes shorter, but it's not like if you see 100 minutes and you're like, I never do over 100. This might be one to make an exception for, I think. Or it is definitely.
What, Hollow is 100 minutes?
Yes, it says 100 hour 41 minutes. So it's
I went by faster than that.
Right, exactly. It feels it plays like a 90-minute film. I think it's really that good. And I mean, it starts the way the film starts is like you're in this 1990s, but it's supposed to be the future LA. There's a shootout with like John Amos with a big gun and Joe Lara shooting. And then I can't remember if it's Lurie or somebody else in his gang who shows up in a car with like spiked. Movies start from PM, whether it's this one or we were talking about Skyscraper and we were talking about T-Force. Sometimes the openings to these movies are just, it's almost bigger than like when you're, it's kind of like the James Bond thing, right? Where it's like he ends he starts the movie with the end of the last mission or the end of a previous mission, and it's this huge, big action thing. It's like PM does the same thing with their movies, and the really good ones have these really great things. And I think this one starts off this way, and then Lurie just goes. I mean, he just goes for it. It's the baddie. He just really, really chews up the scenery.
Yeah, in a great kind of way. And it's his. Would you say that what Killing Zone is to Malibu, Hologram Man is to Lurie?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's his moment in the sun, like it's his time to shine. So, what better way to do that is in this sort of techno thriller, which was pretty big at the time with movies like Virtuosity, right, Ty?
Yes, I can talk about Virtuosity all day. It'd be a 4-hour podcast. How awesome the movie is.
So, if Hollywood was doing stuff like Virtuosity and I don't know what else.
Johnny Mnemonic.
Johnny Mnemonic, maybe to a certain extent the Terminator movies, like Terminator
Time
2,
Cop.
Time Cop. So this is PM's kind of answer to that. So it's like an action movie with a bit of sci-fi, kind of like Dark Breed, but with that Jack Scalia. But this, is their kind of answer to those kind of movies, and who better to play Slash Gallagher than the great Evan Lurie? So
I just remember when I first watched Hologram Man, it's like, can this be any better? I mean, it's just like.
Well, that opening thing, you're always talking about the cars blowing up.
Yeah, so many cars blew up. I mean, it's just like Hard Justice, which I've talked about a million times. Like 45 cars blow up. It's like, I can't. Stop. You stop making movies. This is it. It's just like, I like that they steal the footage, Matt, in Merchant of Death. You ever see that with Michael Paré?
Oh yes.
They just steal the footage of Hard Justice. And it's like they kind of cut to Michael Paré while there's Hard Justice footage. They try to match it. Right. The big, nice try.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things I think sometimes with PM is that they would sometimes okay, we flipped a car in this movie, we'll use that footage to flip a car in another. But I think for these ones that are really good, like they put together some stuff in these opening sequence. I mean, Recoil is another one we were talking about, like that we both had close to our number ones, or Sweeper, right? Because Sweeper, it's actually the scene is Jeff Fahey in the big action sequence that happens at the beginning. It's the kind of thing that, again, I don't think you see, like when you watch modern DTV, they don't open a film the way that and I think part of it is they don't want to spend the money, they don't want to risk the lives of the Sun people, which I guess is maybe commendable, but they don't pull you in the way. I mean, again, we're talking about this movie being over 100 minutes, but because it pulls you in so well to start with, you, like you said, Ty, you don't really feel like you're doing 100 minutes.
No, not at all. But did you say what your number one was? I forget.
So mine's Hologram Man as well. Yeah, I've got the same
it is.
one. So,
okay.
Yeah. So I think this
overlap.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. Maybe it was kind of one of those things for both of us where this one and Skyscraper for Malibu were two that were really high on our PM list.
Exactly.
And so I think we probably knew going in that those might be, but yeah, this one's a little different than Skyscraper, because Skyscraper, it's like Malibu's more of like a traditional part that he usually plays, where he's kind of not the biggest star, but he's really like building the foundation, or part of propping up the film and making it really good. Whereas this one here, Lurie, I mean, I think other than American Kickboxer 2, I can't think of another movie where he's like out in front. I mean, I guess T-Force, right? But he's the main baddie in T-Force, but not to the degree that he is here in Hologram Man.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Can't agree more on that one. So yeah, that was good that we have a lot of overlap in this one. And you said you had a extra one.
No. So my honorable mention. Was Operation Cobra / So technically my honorable mention for Malibu was T-Force. That was kind of the.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. So it all kind of comes together in a way.
Yeah. We covered all the classic ground for these guys.
And then Operation Cobra was my honorable mention for Lurie, which you guys had on your list. So we covered that one as well. Yeah.
Well,
all right.
Yeah. So, any final thoughts on either of these guys?
I think you can't really. You gotta love them when you're on screen. So.
Right, in the 90s, it wouldn't be the same.
Yeah,
they put exactly. They put a smile on your face. 90s wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
There's all part of the colorful characters that were around at that time that make it so addictive to keep going back to these movies and talking about them. I mean, where would we be without them?
We need the Evan Luries, the Malibus, the Joe Laras, the Richards. Okay, we'll do the names again. But
but what you're saying is true. I mean, that's what makes these things worth watching.
We're lucky. We're just lucky too, I think.
Yeah, because we have access to them now.
Yeah, we have mostly access to just about any of these movies. Yes, it might not be on Tubi or YouTube, but they're around if you look. So.
Yeah, so it's definitely a golden age as far as that. But there's always another one. Like it took us a long time to get to, and to find Enter the Blood Ring, but we eventually did. So just keep looking.
It took a couple years, but it was worth it. Well, basically worth it.
All right, so that's pretty much all I got.
That's all I got. Matt, anything else you want to say?
No, I think I'm kind of, saying, just to kind of, kind of piggyback on what you guys were saying. I think we're always kind of in this mode where I don't want to say we're trashing modern DTV and saying, that the late 80s, early 90s was great, but it's just like there's something about that period that worked on so many levels, and this is just another element of how that worked. That like there are no Evan Lurie Malibu types that are in these movies that that like and you could name a whole bunch of people that kind of you go down the list from Lurie and Malibu. I mean, someone like a Mike Monty in Philippine action films, right? Like there's no Mike. When movies are shot in Thailand today, there's no Mike Monty that's like
But there's no Nick Nicholson.
Right.
Nick Nicholson was definitely a character.
Anything with an alliteration for a name. It's like,
exactly.
Yeah, Mike Monty, Nick Nicholson.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about like
Willie Williams.
Oh yeah, that's another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there's something about these guys who, even if they weren't the main star like Malibu and Evan Lurie, that held up a film in a way that then when you had the big stars, so it was obviously in Hologram Man, it was about Lurie, but yeah, when you think about Skyscraper, that's a movie that really shouldn't be as great a movie as it is.
That's true.
It really
does kind of defy the odds in that sense.
Exactly. That's no right to be. I mean, it should just exist for the novelty of having Anna Nicole Smith in it. That's really all it should be. And we as PM fans should just be thinking of it as a novelty. The fact that it makes top 10 lists in a lot of cases, I think when Bulletproof Action did their top 10 PM, it was on their top 10 list as well. It's kind of universally understood to be that great for PM, and PM has so many great ones. It's because of guys like Lurie and Malibu in the PM stable that made their stuff as good. In addition to the fact that they went, balls to the wall with the action part of it, that, they had big names like Daniels, Lamas, Don the Dragon. The fact that they even had these kinds of guys that just sort of added to the flavor that made it work. It's just another reason why this period of time, this, sort of late 80s into the early 90s is just this golden age that we just may never see again.
Right. Because
you're absolutely right.
Because if you think about the closest person that we have today is not even close, which is like Dave Bautista.
Right.
He'd be like the closest we've got, but he just doesn't have the what they he to me he doesn't have it. Like Malibu and Evan Lurie have it. You want to see them, whereas Dave Bautista's is kind of like a lead weight. It doesn't have that fun factor that Evan and Malibu had. So even the closest we've got these days is not even close.
Wow, that's perfectly said.
Yeah, because you think about it, right, with how big the WWE is, which at that time was the WWF. Like,
well, as I still call it WWF. I don't call it the World Wildlife Fund.
Too. Yeah, all right, that's perfect. Then we're all in agreement. We can keep calling it WWF. It's like,
WWE. Yeah, forget that.
Yeah, it's like they should be able to just pull wrestlers out, and some of them work as leads, right? Like you can get some of them do well as the lead in a film sometimes. But
John Cena
Piper was the original.
Piper, that's original.
And of course Hulk Hogan, but
Piper.
But now the DTV they have the Miz and
the Miz and there's other people. These are R-Truth. I don't know. It's like all those people.
Yeah, and they just don't seem to work the way that like a Malibu did, or the way that an Evan Lurie did. And I think who knows? I mean, we could come up with any kind of reasons why. But I mean, PM Entertainment movies were pumped out pretty quickly. Yes, I don't think they had the same cynicism like you were saying, Brett. That they didn't have the cynicism that today's DTV tends to have, where it's just like slap some names on the cover, throw some pitched action scenes, throw some double crosses in, and put it out there.
Yeah, that's all they had. Like Extraction had like 1 million double crosses.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Like,
that's another newer. Bruce, not to go back
I wonder if DB Sweeney might be evil.
No,
I wonder that.
Yes.
Maybe not.
Yeah,
if you hire DB Sweeney, he's going to be hanging around a little bit longer, so there might be something going on.
Well,
yeah. To what extent can they things aren't what they seem us, right? Like,
right.
Yeah. I mean, wait, so DB, what's the DB stand for? Is it Dave Bautista Sweeney? Or just like
yes. Okay, now we're getting into the realm of absurdity.
Okay, we should probably let you go then.
Well, let's why don't we wrap it up and get some plugs?
On that note,
on that note. We'll start working on the plugs.
Okay, that's Comeuppance.reviews.net, the website, and we have the podcast. That's you're a frequent collaborator. Tie Action Rocks on Instagram. That's basically Twitter, Facebook.
Yeah, all the same places.
Usuals.
So yeah, just look up Comeuppance Reviews and
they'll
you'll find us.
Whoever. Yep.
Yeah, and I was going to say, because I think as we're recording this, your most recent episode was the one with, was it Rage and
Raw Rage?
Raw Rage,
Raw
yes.
Rage.
Which was a fantastic episode, but I think
thank
by
you.
the time this comes out, you'll probably have another one dropping.
February 1st, we will be dropping our latest episode, which, should we say?
Yeah, all right, because you're a freaking collaborator. It's called The Perfect Out, and it has all the movies that word perfect and all the movies that the word out.
That's excellent. So that will be out. I think because this
that will be out February
1st. Right. So we're going to be posting this podcast on I think the 8th of February.
Oh,
okay. So that will be out before this, so people can check that out or any of our past episodes, which are around on iTunes and other places.
Spotify, and then you'll be back on for I think February or maybe Leo Fong. We'll figure that out. Oh no! Yeah. Oh, it's Robert Zadar. We're doing Robert Zadar.
Because the Darn list, yeah, and then I'm horrible, and then somebody on Facebook there was a suggestion that we should do Matthias Hughes for.
Yeah, I told them.
Yes,
I told the Brad, totally on board for that.
Yeah, that's a good idea, and that is something we should work on.
Yeah.
Hughes so are you or something like that? I don't know. Thinking of the wacky titles now.
But, right, exactly. Yeah. So, and I think So I think those episodes that you guys do, where you do like the two. Yeah, like we do the title, kind of the grouping by title.
Yeah, the combo episodes.
Combo eps. We call them combo eps.
Yeah, they're always a lot of fun because it's
thanks.
I think one, it's just it's kind of you get this this thing from that time period where it's like all these movies just had just like slap names together and call it good. And it's interesting because nowadays it like going back to that idea of the cynicism that like back it was probably just as cynical back then. They were like, let's just call it raw something and put it on look on the tape shelf. Somebody wants to see the word raw, they think it's going to be great, or something like that, or rage,
right.
It's going to be great. But there's something fun about it as well, that like you're into these kind of movies and you're just like, however many of them have raw in the title, and you start talking about the different ones and the different things that happen in the movie, and I think it's always a lot of fun.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Well, we've got more to come. So
we'll be back on your show. You'll be back on our show. It'll be a lot of fun.
So, yes. The collaborations will continue.
Yep, absolutely.
No, I think that's the thing. I think you guys are. I don't think of it as like a guest on the show, but more like a collaboration.
I think we said that in an earlier episode. Yeah, it's more of a collaboration than like just having a guest.
Exactly. It's more fun.
We worked together quite a bit, and we kind of developed a kind of a I think these lists. I think people are enjoying these lists because I think it gives them a kind of a good place to like if they've never seen the movies, it gives them a place to start. If it's been a while since they've seen them, they go back and check them out. Like, I don't remember that one being as good, but let me go check it out.
Yeah, because that happens. You go back and rewatch like an American Kickboxer 2, and you'll probably discover new funny things you didn't know before.
Yeah,
which is on Tubi, just to let people know.
Awesome. That's great. That's a great way to end it. Watch it on Tubi, and.
Well, to quote Shakespeare.
Oh no.
To be or not to be.
Yes.
To be or not. That's how they called it. That it's based on Shakespeare.
Well, I thought it was the Shakespeare Channel at first when it first came on the scene, but
right.
So maybe that would be a good place to wrap it up. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's perfect. That's perfect.
No problem.
Well, thank you guys again for coming on. Thank you everybody for listening, and we'll be back soon. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, Nissan, how do you get to the top?
Calculating. Proceed to 1959. Take a hard left in East Africa at the 71 Safari Rally. Veer right for 19 off-road championships in the Baja Desert. Proceed towards Moab. Take the trail to Hell's Revenge. Include steep incline. Continue for the next 1,000,000 miles.
Where to first again?
60 years, millions of miles, and the capability to take you anywhere. This is the new Nissan.